Boom, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the new Codex Supplement for the Blood Angels. Our red armored Astartes here finally get their supplement treatment now that they are part of the Codex Astartes themselves. Essentially, we've already had the Blood Angels Index that came out, but that was just the ability to allow you, as a Blood Angel player, to play your army until this supplement came out. And now this will be the definitive resource for all of your Blood Angels, Blood Angel-y goodness. So your bespoke psychic powers, your chapter-wide rules, Successor chapter rules, and of course stratagems and unique units. So we are going to go into this and see what we've got inside. So again, it's a beautiful book. I really like the new cover style that they've been going with. I really do like it. It's really cool. It's really grim, darky, and action packed. I really like the ones that they've come out with so far, and hopefully will continue to come out with, I'm sure. So again, a beautiful looking book with a lot of great photography. I really like that they're using a lot of model photography. I like seeing the models painted up and seeing what they can look like. Just gives you a little bit of it gives you the ability to kind of like work with it and see what you can do, and it just, I don't know, it inspires me. That the pictures that they had of their models is what really got me into the hobby in the beginning. So to see it again is really what I enjoy seeing myself. So glad to see that. But they still also have some really beautiful art as well. And again, for any of those that had been confused or worried about it being them turning to the softer image that they use for like the Warhammer community art style, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, they're obviously still staying very grim dark within a lot of their material that they've got them working with. So beautiful, beautiful stuff here as they go through, and a lot of really great lore. Man, that's such a cool picture. Such a cool picture that they got going there. Anyway, but yeah, I'm not gonna go into it too much. I think if you want to know more about them, you can follow it yourself. I read it yourself because I think that's going to be giving the best review of it, because I'm not going to be able to get into it too much. But they do go into a lot of different things, like going over the different company badges, like the knee badges for the different squads, and the company shoulder pad differences, and the different helmets and how you do it. So I think it's really kind of cool to see how they kind of go into a lot of depth of letting you get chapter or like official maze here. They've also got some really, again, beautiful art photography and stuff like that. And I was kind of looking at this, which is kind of cool. The new flyer they've got, or the new skimmer that they're going to have coming out, you can see the base that they have here, which is kind of interesting. So it'll be interesting to see. It kind of looks like a thick speeder base, which, I mean, I guess it is like a thick boy speeder, but but it'll be interesting to see how it actually looks and plays out when it actually comes out. But looks kind of cool, interesting new one, obviously, that they're gonna have for it. But yeah, so they got a little stuff here. So let's go over the different rules that they've got here. So again, they go over. This is more what I'm going to get into really with this review, just kind of give you an idea of what's going on with the book and see where the Blood Angels are at. So they've got all the different rules for match play. They're chapter approved, talking about the secondary, your bespoke secondaries. You've got all your Battleforge rules. So you've got your what are they? Doctrines, your specific doctrines. They've got all these different rules that they've got for going forward with very specific Blood Angel-y stuff. They also have stuff in here for the Crusade rules that I'm not really going to get into because I don't know it enough really to be able to. I haven't played any of the Crusade yet. I kind of want to. It seems very cool, but at the same time, I've always had a bad luck with Crusade type kind of games where the campaign stuff that keeps going forward. I've always failed miserably and ended up, not really enjoying that kind of system. But I've heard a lot of good things about Crusade, so I think Crusade will do well. So I will probably get into it in the future, in which case this will be interesting to have. But we were going to go into it and see what we've got going on here. So they've got all the different information about running Successor chapters, how to run them, and what you have access to if you are a Blood Angel Successor, and going through that. Because now that the Blood Angels are actually part of the Codex Astartes, you can actually have the Successor chapter traits, which is kind of interesting. So you can make your own very specific one, and they tell you all about what you have access to, what relics and things like that, including the Flesh Tearers. But the Flesh Tearers have a lot of their own bespoke rules that they have going forward. They have bespoke rules in here that you can get with it. Going over combat patrol is a basic way to start it, which is kind of interesting when they talk about it. But here we go. Let's get into this. So we've got the chapter approved rules here. These are the secondaries that are specific for the Blood Angel. So essentially, now that all of the missions that they have a primary mission, which is holding objectives, and then secondary objectives that you can choose based upon how you want to play your game and how you want to play and who your opponent is, which is kind of interesting the way you can. It gives a lot more freedom so that, if you run into just a mission that's just there was a whole lot more in previous editions where you would have certain missions that just certainly favored different opponents, and when you ran into it, you're like, well, there's not much I can do about this. There's not much I can do to kind of combat it. But now the way they have the mission set up, it very much makes it so that it's a lot more of an even keel, because you get to choose how you want to try to win the game, and you can choose how you want to play the game. And if you're all about board control and objective holding, you're not really interested in killing your opponent, then you can do that. You can very much focus on it. So it's kind of interesting to see it. And I also like that they're coming out with specific ones for the different armies that are going forward. Because so far, and I mean, knock on wood, that they'll continue to be this way. But a lot of the secondaries don't seem by and far easy picks. They don't seem like auto includes in every game that you're going to play. There's certain ones that it becomes easier. Like there's ones like the Death Watch where it's kill Xenos and you'll a Xenos unit and you can get a point. If you run into a Xenos army that has a whole lot of units, then yes, you're probably going to choose that one. But at the same time, if you run into a Chaos army, you're not going to choose that because it's not going to be helpful at all. So I like the way they've got a lot of the balance that they've got going forward with a lot of these. So let's go over the ones that they have here for the Blood Angels. So first one here is Blade of Sanguinious, which is in the Purge the Enemy section. Essentially, at the start of the first command phase, you must select one Blood Angels character model from your army to issue a challenge, and your opponent must select one character model from their army, to accept the challenge. If either player does not have a character model, then they must instead select their Warlord. Score 5 victory points at the end of the battle for each of the following conditions that have been satisfied. The model that accepted the challenge was destroyed. The model that accepted the challenge was destroyed by a melee attack, and the model that accepted the challenge was destroyed by a melee attack made by the model that issued the challenge. So if I go in there and I nominate my Smash Captain, and my Smash Captain declares a challenge, and my opponent accepts it with his Nexos, my Smash Captain runs up there, smashes him with his hammer, kills the Nexos, I get 15 points for that. But if that Nexos happened to be killed by a squad of Sanguinary Guard in close combat, I would get 10 points for that because he was killed and he was destroyed, and he was destroyed by a melee attack. But if he was killed by a shooting attack from an intercessor squad or something like that, I would only get 5 points for that. And if he survived, I get 0 points. So it's a lot of hit or miss, and the way you go forward with it. So there's ways that they can choose, like they can hide the model, make it very difficult for the model that you declared that against. Like I would not suggest choosing this one if you're going against knights in particular. Although I guess maybe having a Thunderhammer on a captain going up there and smacking the last couple wounds off a knight would be kind of fun. But yeah, kind of cool. I like it. Very 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 dark angely, blood angely. So I think that's kind of cool. Then you have Fury of the Lost in No Mercy No Respite. Score 3 victory points at the end of your turn if one or more enemy units has been destroyed by a Death Company unit from your army this turn. So essentially, if you have a Death Company, and there's a couple different Death Company units now that you can choose, and if you kill a unit with them each turn, you get 3 victory points. At the end of your turn, if you killed them, you get 3 victory points. So if you have your Death Company intercessors shoot a unit off the board turn 1, you get 3 points. Then you have your Death Company Marines with jump packs jumping in and killing some in close combat turn 2, you'll get 3 points. Then the intercessors get up there and start whacking them turn 3, you get 3 points, and going from there. So there's ways that you can run an entire basically army of Death Company now that I think would be kind of interesting. It would be difficult, but it'd be kind of fun to try to run them only as Death Company, and then then if you're killing stuff, that's what you're going to want to take there. So basically you have to kill a unit each turn and make it done by a Death Company. You got Death from Above. Score 2 victory points at the end of your turn if any enemy units were destroyed by a Blood Angels unit from your army that was set up on the battlefield in the reinforcement step of any of your movement phases. If any of those enemy units were a character unit, score 3 victory points instead. That seems doable, but difficult, because you can't come in from the reinforcement step of any of your movement phases unless you're coming in on turn 2. So then it's at most you get 8 points if it's not characters, And if they're, I guess you can score 12 points if it's characters going through there. Oh, I guess if you come in with drop pods, you could make it turn 1, and you would have to kill a character each turn to max out 15. But you can get a bunch of points, I guess, with this Death from Above. So drop in with drop pods, kill something, get some points, and then kill something each turn that you got stuff coming in. So seems difficult. Seems like a difficult one to get, and not a reliable one to get. Then you have Battlefield Supremacy. You have Relentless Assault. Score 4 victory points at the end of your turn if there are more Blood Angels units from your army in the enemy deployment zone than there are enemy units in your deployment zone. So this is kind of cool if you're going against like a gunline kind of army that's not really moving up the board. You can punish them by just dropping in some drug pack units into the back line there. Pair this up with behind enemy lines or engage on all fronts, and I think it becomes a good way to pile up some of those secondary points to get it. So again, Battlefield Supremacy. Oh, I guess engage on all fronts would. I think it's Battlefield Supremacy. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, that kind of thing. This is kind of cool. I like this one. I think it's kind of a cool thing that you can pair up there with those. Let's go over some of the detachment abilities here. So you've got Blood Angel's ability. So essentially, if every unit in your army, except for unaligned units, which is basically except for if you bring in, you can still bring the assassin with all of those stuff. Has the Blood Angel's keyword, and then every unit has the Combat Doctrine's ability, and you also get Savage Echoes, which states while the Assault Doctrine is active, each time this unit fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, or performed heroic intervention this turn, then until the fight resolved, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in that unit. So again, it's the same thing as they had previously, but really makes them brutal still. So they've got it now, which is kind of cool. Then you've got the Lost abilities here, which is kind of a new way of going about with Death Company here. If your army is battle forged, then when muster your army, you can upgrade one of your captains, and you can upgrade up to 1 captain and up to 2 lieutenants units, excepting named characters, in Blood Angels detachments in your army to be inducted to the Death Company. Each time you do so, that unit gains the Death Company keyword, and the power rating of that unit is increased as shown in the table below. If you are playing match play games and the points or a game otherwise uses point limits, then they increase the points. So essentially, you can make one captain, or you can make up to 2 lieutenants Death Company. And it costs 20 points additional for a captain to become Death Company, and 10 points additional for a lieutenant, and they both increase their power rating by 1 to get it. If they do so, the following apply to models that are inducted into the Death Company. Model inducted to the Death Company gains the Black Rage and Death Visions abilities. A model inducted to the Death Company cannot be your Warlord and cannot be given any other chapter command upgrade. So you can't make a company commander, or you can't make a chapter master Death Company. Then you've got a captain model inducted to the Death Company has his Rites of Battle ability replaced with the following ability: Rites of Rage aura. While a friendly Death Company core unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll hit roll a 1. So it basically reduces their aura to only affecting Death Company core units instead of Blood Angel core units. So it's specifically Death Company core units. And then the lieutenant basically has their ability turned down, so they become tactical aggression. So it's the same thing, only affecting, instead of Blood Angels core, Death Company core. And then Death Company character units are excluded from the company command rule. This means, for example, a detachment can include both 1 Death Company captain unit and 1 other captain unit. So I guess technically you could have up to 3, because you can have a Death Company captain unit, you can have a captain unit, and you could have a chapter master, a captain that's been upgraded to a chapter master if you wanted to. I'm not sure why, but you could if you want to. So that's kind of cool. And then if a Crusade force, a model cannot be upgraded in this manner, the Crusade rule instead provide alternate journey in which these models can be inducted to the Death Company. So that's kind of cool. Instead of doing the CP to turn them into the Death Company, now you just spend points again. So I like it. I think it's kind of a cool way to go about it. Let's go over the stratagems that they have now in their book. So the first one here is Descent of Angels. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select one Blood Angel's core jump pack unit from your army that was set up on the battlefield during the reinforcement step of this phase. Until the end of this turn, each time a charge roll is made for that unit, you can ignore any and all modifiers to that charge roll. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. So you get +1 attack, and you ignore modifiers to charge roll. So you can charge through difficult terrain. I mean, it's not 3d6 charge, so I think this time to take a hit, but adding 1 to the attack's hit roll is kind of cool. So you get +1 to hit, and you'll get +1 to wound because you charged in because you're Blood Angel. So that's pretty cool. Going over there. Then you have Vengeance for Sanguineous for 1 CP. Use this stratagem. Yeah, I think this is a hit. I think, more I'm thinking about it, 3d6 charge was way better. But it was also, it was also very, very good. And I think it became hard to really balance it out with the cost of CP, since CP are so low cost, since you have the variance. At most you're paying like 3 CP or 4 CP, I guess, for some things. That becomes harder for a lot of those more powerful abilities to be worked in. I think you can see that change that they've been doing with the various stratagems that they've got going forward with the new codexes. They seem to be mellowing out their abilities, which I think is good, because a lot of people complained about stratagems in the game, and I actually very much like stratagems. I think they're very cool. I think they give you the ability to do a lot of different things that really amps up the flavor of the game. But I think that mellowing out what they can do is probably a good thing, because the number of times that people argue over what the different stratagems can do and complain about it, I think became a bit tiresome. So we'll see how it keeps going forward. Of course, that could all change the second the next codex or supplement comes out and just has a stratagem that just blows all of it out of the water. But the next one down is Vengeance for Sanguineous, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Blood Angels unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack against a Black Legion unit, you can reroll the attack's hit roll, and you can reroll the attack's wound roll. So very specific that it's only against Black Legion, but at the same time, for 1 CP, rerolling all hits and rerolling all wounds, heck yeah, that's pretty awesome. So if you're playing Black Legion, you will probably be spending a lot of CP on that one. Refusal to Die, 1 CP or 2 CP. Use this stratagem after a Death Company unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit would lose a wound, roll 1d6 on a 5+, that wound is not lost. You can only use this stratagem once per turn. If that unit contains 5 or fewer models, this stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it costs 2 CP. So bumping up the Death Company's Feel No Pain to a 5+ is pretty good. I like it. I think it's good for 1 CP or 2 CP. I don't know if I'd be using a lot for 2 CP for 5+ Feel No Pain. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It's a third of your wounds are not lost, which is pretty good. But still, I don't know. Interesting, but I don't know. Then you've got Aggressive Onslaught here for 1 CP. It's a Flesh Tearers battle one. So this one's Flesh Tearers specific one. Use this stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Flesh Tearers infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it can move up to an additional 3 inches. So plus 3 inches for pile-in and consolidation for Flesh Tearers, which is pretty good. That's actually really good. I like all of those abilities that they have to increase the range of pile-in and consolidation. It really helps with your maneuvering in battle. You got Angel's Sacrifice up here for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Blood Angels character unit, excluding vehicle units, from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is selected to fight, if a model in that unit is within engagement range of that character unit, then when your opponent is selecting targets for the attacks, those attacks can only target that character unit, which is pretty incredible. That's pretty awesome. You run up there with like a captain with a jump pack. You go into like the very edge of the enemy unit. You pop this strat in the fight phase and select it. Use the stratagem in the fight phase, so not even in the beginning of the fight phase. So all of a sudden it's come down and he's going to have to select. You pop it and you go, yep, you can only attack me. So you have like your whole unit of Death Company run in and like have them like surround or half surround a unit. You have the captain go up on the other side of that same unit. And now you pop this. they can only allocate attacks at your captain, but they still have to follow all the other rules. They can only pile in towards the closest enemy unit, which would be your death company, but they can't attack them because they can't allocate any attacks towards them. So that's super cool. And then it can only get however many can get into engagement range with your character to get them in there. So going up against a horde, like if you go into like maybe against like orcs or something like that, you go into one edge of an orc, like a 30-man squad of boys, and go into the around the other side with a bunch of the other guys, and all of a sudden now that whole orc boy squad, they can only put their attacks onto your captain, and you've got to put them on like a 2+ armor save or something like that with a feel no pain. Heck yeah, I think that's super cool. I like that a lot. I think that's going to be Angel Sacrifice. I think is dang good. That's a dang good one. I like that one a lot. Spiritual Might. Use the stratagem in your psychic phase. Select one Blood Angel Psyker unit from your army. You can attempt to manifest one additional psychic power with that unit this phase. So that's pretty cool. +1 psychic power. I like it. Visions of Sanguineous. Use the stratagem when a Death Company character model from your army is selected to fight. That model can do one of the following. If that model has already used a Death Vision rule, which we'll get to, it can use another Death Vision this phase. This cannot be a Death Vision that has Death Vision you have already used during the battle. And if that model has not already used Death Vision, it can use 2 different Death Visions this phase. Neither can be a Death Vision you have already used during the battle phase. So that's pretty cool. The powers, we're going to get into them in a bit, are pretty cool. So the fact that you can use the second one or use 2 at the same time is pretty cool for 1 CP. I like that. You got Angel Exemplar. Use the stratagem after nominated Blood Angel character model that is not a named character to be your Warlord. You can generate 1 additional Warlord trait for them. So you give 2 Warlord traits to your Warlord, which is pretty cool. If this model is from the Blood Angels or one of the Successor chapters, other than the Flesh Tearers, this must be from the Blood Angels Warlord trait table, page 50. If this model is from the Flesh Tearers chapter, this must be from the Flesh Tearers Warlord trait table instead. Each Warlord trait in your army must be unique. If randomly generated, reroll duplicate results. You can only use this stratagem once. So you get to give your Warlord 2 Warlord traits, which is kind of cool. You got Angel Ascendant here. Use this stratagem before the battle. Select 1 Blood Angels model from your army that has the word Sergeant in their profile. That model can have one of the following special issue war gear relics, even though they are not a character model: mastercrafted weapon, digital weapons, flesh rendered grenades, easy for me to say, quake bolts. Each relic in your army must be unique, and you cannot use this stratagem to give a model 2 relics. You can only use this stratagem once. Lucifer pattern engines for 1 CP. Use this stratagem before the battle. Select 1 Blood Angels vehicle model, excluding a Dreadnought model, or a model that can fly, from your army. That model gains the following ability: Overcharge engines. Each time this model advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, until the end of the phase, add 6 inches to the move characteristic for that model. Spoiler alert, looking forward, what are they called? The Ball Predators already have that rule in them, built into them. So that's pretty cool. But you can now give Lucifer pattern engines to any of your models any of your vehicles that can't fly and are not Dreadnoughts. So any of the other tanks, you can just like bolt up with a Rhino or with a Razorback or something like that. Pretty cool. And actually, now that the repulsors and stuff like that don't have the fly keyword, you can give it to them as well now. Honored by the Arx Angelicum. Use a stratagem after nominating a model drawn from your Blood Angels Successor chapter to be your Warlord. You can give 1 relic of the Angel to a character model in your army that is drawn from the Blood Angels Successor chapter instead of giving a special issue war gear. So essentially now when you have Successor chapters, you can only give them special issue war gear. This allows you to give your Blood Angel Successor chapter one of the Blood Angel specific relics, which is kind of cool. So then for 1 CP, you have Red Rampage. Use the stratagem in your command phase if the Assault Doctrine is active in your army. Until your next command phase, each time a Blood Angels model from your army makes an attack with a pistol or a melee weapon, on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, the armor penetration characteristic of that attack is improved by 1. This bonus is cumulative with the Combat Doctorate ability. You can only use this stratagem once. So essentially, when it's while it is the Combat Doctrine. You can pop this, and every model in your army will, or that's Blood Angel. So every Blood Angel model in your army that's using a close combat weapon, a melee weapon, or a pistol can increase the AP of their attack by 1 if on wound rolls of a 6. Or actually, I guess it'll be increased by 2 at that point, because you'll have the additional -1 from the Assault Doctrine, and you'll have the -1 from this Red Rampage. For 1 CP affecting the whole army, it's pretty good. I guess the only thing is that I mean, turn 3 is really like the soonest that you can really do it to affect the whole army. So, you know, I guess you have to make sure that you can... your army still has to be around until turn 3 for that to really take an effect. And you have to be, I guess by turn 3, that's really when you're engaged in a lot of this stuff anyway. So, yeah, I like it. For 1 CP affecting the whole army, that's cool. I like that. That's a different way of viewing stratagems, which is kind of cool. You now have 1 CP here for Unbridled Ardor. Use this stratagem at the end of the heroic intervention step of your opponent's charge phase. Select 1 Sanguinary Guard unit from your army that is within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of any enemy units. The selected unit is eligible to perform a heroic intervention as if it were a character unit. And when performing the heroic intervention, each model in that unit can move up to 6 inches instead of 3 inches. All of the rules for heroic intervention still apply. So that's really cool. So now all of a sudden Sanguinary Guard can heroically intervene. So if your opponent is trying to charge in and avoid getting into combat with your Sanguinary Guard, now you can heroically intervene and cause a ruckus, you know, which I think is super cool. You can use that to keep another unit from, really sniping out characters with the charges or attacking a weaker unit. You can now get your guys in there for 1 CP. I like that a lot. Sanguinary Guard are already pretty cool, and I think now with that makes them like a very potent weapon that you can use for board control and really being super helpful for you there. For 1 CP or 2 CP, you've got Forlorn Fury. Use this stratagem at the start of the battle round before the first turn begins. Select 1 Death Company unit from your army. That unit can make a normal move up to 12 up to 12 inches as if it were your movement phase. So, but must end that move more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. If both players have units that move before the first turn begins, the player who is taking the first turn moves their units first. If that unit contains a Dreadnought model, or if it contains 6 or more models, this stratagem costs 2 CP. Otherwise, it costs 1 CP. I wonder, it says can make a normal move of up to 12 inches. So does that mean that they all, like, even if your movement is only 6, that you can move 12 inches? Or does it mean that you can make your normal move up to 12 inches? So if you had a unit that could move like 14 inches, you could only move 12 inches. I don't know, because I know that like in the Gene Stealer Cult and Kill Team, I know this is like completely separate, but it's an interesting thing. They say at the beginning of the turn that at the beginning of the game you basically can move up to 6 inches, and I wonder if this is the similar thing where it's saying you can move up to 12 inches, or if you can move your normal move up to 12 inches. So if your normal move is any more than 12 inches, you can't move your full normal move. It's only up to 12. I don't know. They'll probably determine one way or the other. But either which way, it's still pretty cool. So you can move them up there, and now you get the Forlorn Fury. It doesn't have to be the jump pack anymore, which is kind of interesting. So you've got just Death Company. So now you can have Death Company Dreadnoughts. You can have Death Company characters that you make that you can move up there. And I mean, it is also at the beginning of at the start of the battle round, so it's not a phase. So you can just keep using it as many as you want. So you can move up as many different Death Company units as you want. So if you have a whole army of them, you can move them all 12 inches forward. So all of a sudden now it's like you have your whole Death Company army there, and you get first turn. You now know you could be like, all right, well, I'm going to spend a bunch of CP, but I'm going to be right in your grill turn 1, and there's not going to be much you can do about it. So I like that. I think it's pretty cool. Now you have Upon Wings of Fire here. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. Select 1 Blood Angel Core jump pack unit from the army and remove it from the battlefield. In the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, set up that unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. If the battle ends and that unit is not on the battlefield, it is destroyed. I mean, not as good as it previously had been. It was a lot better when you could just have them on the board and then you'd be like, boop, you pop them down where you want. You now have to wait until the next turn to do that. But it is kind of cool if you want to pull them out of combat, if you want to get them out of trouble or something like that, or if you overextended with your jump pack army or your jump pack units, you can put them up there. Or if you suddenly find that you're just like woefully out of place, you can use it. It also helps, I guess, keeping if you come down and you just have a whole lot of jump pack units and you need to keep half your army on the table. You could pop that turn 1 and then turn 2 they'll come down with everyone else as well. I don't know. I don't see it being used quite as often. I mean, there's only 1 CP now again, which is kind of cool. But I don't see it being used quite as often as it had been used previously. Definitely tempered down a bunch. Then you have 1 CP for Savage Destruction. Use the stratagem in the morale phase when a morale test is failed for an enemy unit that is within engagement range of any Flesh Tearers unit in your army. Until the end of the turn, subtract 1 from combat attrition test taken for that enemy unit. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Get -1, so all of a sudden now it's like if they got half their force is... If half the... So say you go in with your Flesh Tearers and you take out half of a like a cultist squad or something like that. All of a sudden now, instead of on 1s and 2s, them running away, there's like 1, 2s, and 3s. So half of whatever's left would statistically run away, which is pretty brutal. That's pretty brutal. I think that could be super effective. Situational, again, obviously, but it can be super effective, I think, in those situations. And then you have Chalice Overflowing. Use this stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Sanguinary Priest model from your army. That model can use the Blood Chalice ability 1 additional time this phase. So, kind of cool. We'll get into that, obviously, when we look at the specific units. Overall, there are some really cool ones, but I think a lot of their previously great ones got tempered quite a bit. I mean, Descent of Angels, Forlorn Fury. I think Forlorn Fury, they got a bump. But Upon Wings of Fire and Descent of Angels, I think, definitely took a hit. There's some really, really cool ones. I think Red Rampage is going to be a super effective one. I think Angel Sacrifice is going to be used a lot, especially for players that become very good at maneuvering their armies the way they need to. Then you have... there's a bunch of different things that I think are good, but I think a lot of their previous... I mean, you're going to be playing them very differently, I think, than you would previously. Although, I don't know, you're going to be very aggressive. You're going to be looking for the close combat stuff. I think they've made it just a bit different is what they've done with these. So, yeah, I mean, the stratagems are okay. They're pretty good, but not... I mean, nothing... I wouldn't write home about any of these, honestly. So now, moving here to the Warlord traits. So we've got 6 Warlord traits that are Blood Angels, and you've got 3 Warlord traits that are Flesh Tearers. And then they give the specific ones for the named characters down here. So let's go over the Blood Angels one. So the first one here is Speed of the Primarch. At the start of the fight phase, if this Warlord is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase. So again, it's like any of the other fight first rules. So if it's your opponent charged into you, you can make them be the second option. They could be the second choice to be done there. So essentially, what it comes down to is fight first. When you charge, you also get the fight first ability. So whoever's turn it is would go first. So if your opponent charged into your army, they would choose a charging unit. Then you would choose your Warlord, and then it would continue on with anyone who has fight first, and alternating back and forth if you both have them going there. Fight first it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's pretty good for if you get charged and then your opponent would go. You would also actually, if you get charged on your fight phase, you would get to go first with them, which is pretty good because then it's almost like they charge. So you wouldn't have to be hit. If they charged you, they would presumably, if you don't kill off the whole unit the next turn, they will be able to attack first in the fight phase once you get to the regular fight phase after the charges. But now with that, you would get to go. So this situational, I think it'd be pretty cool. I don't like getting stuck in and being attacked first as much as possible. So it's pretty good, but I think there are probably some other better ones. You have Artisan of War now, which is this Warlord can be given one of the following special issue War Gear relics: Adamantine Mantle, Artificer Armor, Mastercrafted Weapons, Digital Weapons. This is in addition to any other relics they may have and each relic in your army must be unique. So you can give them adamantium mantle and one of the other relics, which is kind of cool. I like that one. I like that. I like having the ability to have those two things. Then you have Soul Warden, which is an aura. While a friendly Blood Angels unit is within 6 inches of this warlord, each time a model in that unit would lose a wound as the result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6 on a 5+. That wound is not lost. So you have a 5+, feel no pain against mortal wounds, which is pretty good, especially if you're going against something like Thousand Suns or Grey Knights or anything like that pumps out a lot of mortal wounds. Having the ability to have a 6-inch bubble of 5+ feel no pain against those is pretty good. But again, it's very situational. There's not necessarily... most armies have the ability to give mortal wounds, but not at huge doses. I guess there's certain Tyranid builds that have a lot of mortal wounds, and that would be helpful. But, the fact that it's only on mortal wounds is a little bit rough. Then you have Heroic Bearing. Add 3 inches to the range of this warlord's rites of battle, tactical precision, chapter master, and spiritual leader's abilities to a maximum of 9 inches. This warlord has the following ability: Heroic Bearing. While a friendly Blood Angel core unit is within 9 inches of the warlord, add 1 to the leadership characteristic of models in that unit. Pretty good. I like it. Most of the time you're going to want to be close to your guys anyway, because you're going to want to gain the benefit of Lookout Sir. So I can see it being useful, though. Especially the +1 leadership is super helpful to not lose guys, especially now that Space Marines no longer reroll their leadership tests at the the morale phase morale test. So that's kind of cool. Having +1 leadership is always helpful. Gift of Foresight. In each turn, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and 1 saving throw made for this warlord. That's pretty cool. You're basically saving yourself a bunch of CP, which for a warlord trait. I like that one, actually. I think that one could be super, super beneficial. The Gift of Foresight. I like that one a lot, actually. Then you have Selfless Valor. This warlord is eligible to perform heroic intervention if it is within 6 inches horizontally of an enemy unit, and when performing heroic intervention with this warlord, you can move up to 6 inches instead of 3 inches. So essentially, it's sort of like that ability that they give for the 1 CP to the Sanguinary Guard, except now your warlord can just bump in. If your opponent is charging into you or is trying to maneuver around you, it's harder to stay out of 6 inches than it is to stay out of 3 inches. So popping that on your guy, he can get into combat, especially if you've got like a very aggressive warlord, which Blood Angels are really good at doing. Teeth of Terra ability. Now that you got the ability to get the relic for the Teeth of Terra, I think it'd be super cool to pop that on him as well and make it very hard for them to avoid you. Let's go over the Flesh Terror warlord traits now. So you got Merciless Butcher. Each time this warlord is selected to fight, make 1 additional attack with one of its melee weapons for every 5 enemy models within 3 inches of it, to a maximum of 3 additional attacks. So if you charge them into like a horde of guys, you're going to get a bunch of additional attacks, which is pretty cool. Then you have Of Wrath and Rage. Each time this warlord makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. And then you have Cretacean Born. Each time this warlord declares a charge, enemy units that were targeted by that charge cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend against that charge. You can reroll charge rolls made for this warlord. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And especially with that CP allowing them to take 2 warlord traits, I think having a Flesh Terror with Cretacean Born and with like Merciless Butcher would be super effective out there. Just destroying people. Just going out there and being a blender. I think it would be kind of fun to do that. Let's go over the Sanguinary Discipline now. So this is the Blood Angel specific psychic disciplines, which is pretty cool. So now we have the first one here is Quickening. It's a blessing. Quickening has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested until the end of your next psychic phase, you can reroll advances and charge rolls made for this psyker. Add D3 to this psyker. Add D3 if this add D3 to this psyker's attacks characteristic. So yeah, plus D3 attacks, and you can reroll advanced and charge rolls made for this psyker. So that's pretty cool. You pop that on to like a very aggressive, like a Librarian Dreadnought or something like that, and it could be super cool. Or on Mephiston or something like that. He'd be really cool with that. Then you have Unleash Rage, which is a blessing here. Unleash Rage has a warp charge value of 6. If manifests like one friendly Blood Angels core unit within 12 inches of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. It's pretty cool. I think that'd be super effective. Then you have Shield of Sanguineous. Shield of Sanguineous says the blessing Shield of Sanguineous has a warp charge value of 6. If manifests like one friendly Blood Angels unit within 18 inches of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase, models in that unit have a 5+ invulnerable save. So that's pretty cool. Pop a 5-up invul save onto like a Death Company unit or something like that. They're charging into like a very, very punchy unit. I think that'd be kind of cool. Then you have Blood Boil. Witchfire. Blood Boil has a warp charge value of 6. If manifests like one enemy unit that is within 18 inches of and visible to this Psyker, and roll 2d6. If the total is more than the highest toughness characteristic of models in that unit, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the total is more than double the highest toughness characteristic of models in that unit, it suffers 3 mortal wounds instead. So that's not bad. I mean, it's almost like another smite, but you have the extra step there, and it costs more to do it. But you know what? I don't know. I think it's worth a thought if you're thinking about running multiple librarians. I could see that being like a very specific build for a librarian that's going in there to being very aggro, that they could be super effective with that. Then you have Blood Lance. It's a Witchfire. Blood Lance has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one enemy model that is within 18 inches of and visible to this Psyker. Draw the shortest possible line between that Psyker's base and the selected enemy model's base for or hull. Then roll 1d6 for each model that crosses the line that the center of the line passes over. On a 5+, that model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So it's a beam weapon. I don't know. I've never had very good luck with those. I guess it could be effective if you're going against like a horde unit and they've just got like a whole bunch of models like running up like a orc boy squad or something like that. You could just like shoot right across the boy squad and do some effective work that way. And then you've got Wings of Sanguineous. Wings of Sanguineous is a blessing. Has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, the Psyker can make a normal move or fall back as if it were your movement phase. In addition, until the end of the phase, this Psyker has a move characteristic of 12 inches and the fly keyword. So it can fly. So it's fly and 12-inch move, which is pretty cool. But it's only to the phase, so it's no longer that that it counts until the next psychic phase. So he doesn't get to fly and have 12-inch move on their next turn, which was always fun to put that on on a Librarian Dreadnought, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, I'm going to make the 12-inch move now, and then next turn he's going to have fly and fly away as well, 12 inches. But now it's only during that phase you have 12 inches and fly. So pretty good. I think these are going to be super effective. I think a lot of these, again, wings and quickening were always good things to work with each other, and I think they still work very well with each other. So yeah, I think Sanguinary Discipline turned out pretty good. I like that one. Let's go over the relics we have here. So we've got the Wrath of Baal, Sanguinary Ancient model only. The bearer gains the following ability: Wrath of Baal aura. While a friendly Blood Angels jump pack unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit is selected to make a normal move, advance, or fall back, add 2 inches to that unit's move characteristic until the end of the phase. Interesting. So yeah, so it adds 2 inches to jump pack, so they're going to be moving 14 inches, which is pretty cool. I'm wondering if this is what the Forlorn Fury is talking about, where you have this Sanguinary Ancient next to your jump pack unit. They would have a normal move of 14 inches, but Forlorn Fury is going to say you can only move 12 inches, as opposed to giving like Death Company Intercessors the ability to move 12 inches. It's just making sure that your Death Company Marines with jump packs don't have a 14-inch move at the beginning of the turn there. So I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm sure they'll have to clarify that, but yeah, that's super cool, and I think that's really cool. It's going to be very effective for if you're running a bunch of Sanguinary Guard, or if you're running Death Company Marines with jump packs. I think that could be super, super cool. Or even just a captain with a jump pack, that you gave the visions, Yeah, because it doesn't say Blood Angels jump pack, so it could be just a captain with a jump pack. So it doesn't even have to be a Death Company one. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Icon of the Angel. The bearer gains the following ability. Icon of the Angel aura. While a friendly Blood Angels unit is within 6 inches of this model, it can reroll charge rolls made for that unit. That's fun. Rerolling charge rolls is always super cool. Icon of the Angel, which is great. Yeah, rerolling charge rolls is I mean, you can't beat it. That's always great, especially if you're being a super aggressive army like you are with the Blood Angels. Giving that to somebody to run up there. Maybe give that to a Sanguinary Ancient, which would be kind of fun to be able to do that. So I like it. I think it'd be cool. Then you've got Visage of Death. Each time a melee attack is made against this unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit rolls. The bearer gains the following ability, Visage of Death. So it's -1 to hit them, which is pretty cool. And Visage of Death, while an enemy unit is within 3 inches of this model, it loses the objective secured ability and any similar abilities that allow it to control an objective marker regardless of the number of any models within range of the objective marker. So you jump them into, you jump a squad of Death Company at like, a troop unit, and you try to slaughter them, but they have the one guy that survives, and now he's holding the objective because he's got objective secured. But not with Visage of Death. He no longer has objective secured, and you can take it over with a force of bodies there. I think it's helpful because a lot of the aggressive Blood Angel units that you're talking about are not troops. A lot of them are going to be, you're dealing with a lot of, like Death Company, or you're dealing with Sanguinary Guard. And if you have this guy along with them, they can now outweigh the weight of bodies onto those objectives that previously had been held by troops that your opponent had in the back line. So pretty cool. I like that one. Hammer of Ball. Model equipped with Thunder Hammer only. The relic replaces the Thunder Hammer with the following profile. Strength -2, AP -3, 3 damage. So it just makes it old Thunder Hammers. I guess it's not no longer unwieldy, which is kind of cool. So you're going to hit in your top profile, or you're going to be not -1 to hit. You also have AP -3 as opposed to AP -2 now. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I like it. I think it's pretty decent. Then you have Galleon Staff, model equipped with the Force Stave only. The bearer gains the following ability, Galleon Staff. Each time this model makes a psychic test to manifest a psychic power from the Sanguinary discipline, add 1 to the psychic test. And the relic replaces the Force Stave and has the following profile. Strength +3, AP -2, D3 damage. So pretty cool. I like that one. And then you have the Crimson Plate, Flesh Terror Terminator model only. Add 1 inch to the bearer's move characteristic. The bearer is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced, and the bearer can move up to 4 inches while making pile-in and consolidation moves. So that's pretty cool. Just like very aggressive with your Flesh Terrors, which I mean that's what Flesh Terrors do. And then you have Severer, this model, Flesh Terror's model equipped with Astartes Chainsword only. The relic replaces the Astartes Chainsword and has the following profile: Strength +2, AP -2, 2 damage. And each time an attack is made with this weapon on an unmodified wound roll of a 5+, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. So that's pretty cool. I can see that being very effective. Special issue war gear here. So you've got, this is basically what the Successor chapters can choose from. I mean, you can still choose it if you're a Blood Angel, but this is the only ones that the Successors can choose from. You have Adamantium Mantle. Each time this bearer would lose a wound, roll a d6. On a 5+, the wound is not lost. So a 5+, feel no pain. Pretty good. Not mortal wound. It's just a straight up 5+, feel no pain. Artificer Armor. Bearer has a save characteristic of 2+ and a 5+ invul save. Mastercrafted weapons, same thing as they always. Digital weapons is the same thing. Quake bolts, this is a special one. When you give a model this relic, select 1 bolt weapon. See Codex Space Marines. That model is equipped with. When the model is chosen to shoot with, you can choose for that weapon to fire a quake bolt. If you do, you can only make 1 attack with that weapon. But if a hit is scored, the target unit is felled until the end of the turn, in addition to any other normal damage. Each time a melee attack is made against a unit that is felled, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So you can use that just to pop units down, so they're -1. So they're add 1 to attack to hit rolls, and then you charge in. So you shoot in the shooting phase, they pop, they fall down. onto the ground. Then you charge in with your attacky squad, and you're getting +1 to hit, which is really cool. I like that one a lot, actually. Then you got Archangel Shard. It's a model equipped with a power sword or mastercrafted power sword only. The relic replaces the power sword with this following profile. Strength +2, AP -4, 2 damage. Each time attack made with this weapon is allocated to a model in a chaos unit. The attack has a damage characteristic of 3, and each time an attack made with this weapon is allocated to a model in a chaos monster unit, the attack has a damage characteristic of 4. So if you're going against chaos, that could be super effective. I like that one. Then you've got Flesh Render Grenades. Model equipped with frag grenades only. This relic replaces the frag grenades, has the following profile. Grenade D3 instead of D6. Strength 5, AP -3, 2 damage. Each time an attack made with this weapon, the target unit does not receive the benefits of light cover against that attack. So pretty cool. I like that Flesh Render Grenades. And then you've got Gleaming Pinions, jump pack model only. The bearer is eligible to charge in a turn in which it fell back. You can reroll charge rolls for this bearer. So rerolling charge rolls. There's a bunch of different ways to reroll charge rolls in this book, which is pretty cool. And you can charge when you fall back. So you can fall back and charge in and get the benefits of, which is kind of cool. So if you get charged, you can still fall back next turn and charge in again and get the benefits of shock assault and stuff like that. Then we got the Crusade rules. Again, like I said, I'm not good enough and knowledgeable enough on this stuff to be able to really go through these and tell you anything about them. Then you've got your name generator, which is always fun. I always like to do that. So let's see. I will be Morleo Nasio. Yeah, we'll go with that. And let's get into some of the data sheets and stuff here. So a bunch of the different data sheets are going to have different abilities. So you have Black Rage, which is going to be your Death Company units are going to have these. Basically now in your movement phase, each time this unit is selected to move, it cannot fall back. So you can't fall back with them, which is interesting. So that you can't put that jump pack that allows them to charge when they fall back onto like a Death Company captain, because that's not going to be helpful to you at all. So yeah, Black Rage. So Death Company stuff cannot fall back. Each time this unit fights, if it made a charge move or performed a heroic intervention this turn, then until that fight is resolved, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of the models in this unit. So it's only if it made a charge move or performed heroic intervention. So not if you were charged, which is kind of a specific one. So they get +1 attack, add 1 to the attacks characteristic. And each time a model in this unit would lose a wound, roll a d6, and on a 6+, the wound is not lost. The unit cannot perform any actions as described in the Warhammer core book. So you can't perform actions with Death Company stuff, which is interesting. So you can still hold objectives, but you can't perform actions. So you can't raise banners, you can't do deploy scramblers or anything like that. So they can't do any of those actions. So back to that whole army full of Death Company would again be very difficult because it narrows down a lot of the secondaries that you could choose from with them. Then you have Death Visions here. So once per battle, when this model is selected to fight, it can use one of the Death Visions listed below. The same Death Vision cannot be used more than once per battle. On the Bridge of the Vengeful Spirit, a model with can only use this Death Vision if an enemy infantry character or monster character models are visible to it. If a model with this Death Vision, then if a model uses this Death Vision, then until the fight is resolved, add 1 to that model's attacks characteristic for every 5 enemy models they are within 6 inches of it. Each time that model makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. So re-rolling hit rolls and +1 attack for every 5 enemy models that are within 6 inches. But you have to be within vision of an enemy model, infantry character, or monster character. So interesting stuff there. That's kind of a cool one. Then you've got the Grace of Angel. A model can only use this Death Vision if any infantry character or monster character models are within engagement range of it. If a model uses the Death Visions, then until the end of the turn, this model has a 3+ invulnerable save. So that's pretty cool. So you can charge them into like an enemy who has like a power sword or some high AP stuff, and you got a 3+ invul save, which is pretty cool. And then to slay the War Master, a model can only use this Death Vision if an enemy infantry character or monster character models are within engagement range of it. If a model uses the Death Vision, then instead of making any attacks for that fight, both players roll off. If you win, select one of those enemy models. That model suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So that's pretty cool. You make one attack, or it's basically not even one attack. You just roll off. So if you can roll higher than your opponent, then you get they will suffer D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Can't re-roll it, obviously, because that's I don't think the Death Vision rolls are within the purview of the command point re-roll anymore. But it's still an interesting thing. So if you're running up against something that's beefy and you want to try to give him that 6 attacks, so say you run into like a Patriarch or something like that from Genestealer Cult, you could just one-shot him right there. So I guess it depends upon which model you're talking about with this, because that would be kind of difficult to do. I mean, you'd have to get it perfectly to do the 6 wounds on them there, and a lot of the other guys have a lot of attacks that you can get with all of the different things that pile up there. So it's an interesting one. I mean, especially if you're going against something that's very tough and you might have a hard time wounding it, then I could see that being very effective, because then you're just popping up mortal wounds, and mortal wounds are always super effective. So let's go over the different data sheets. A lot of them are, not super different, I don't think. You've got Dante here. He's going to be 6 wounds. He's got this 2-up armor save. His Inferno Pistol has got the benefit of D6 plus 2. And he's got his Axe Mortis, which is strength plus 3, AP minus 3, 2 damage. Death Mask of Sanguineous. Each time an attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So it's -1 to hit him, which is pretty cool. He's got his 4-up Invul save, Lord Regent Imperium. If your army is Battleforged, then when you select this model to be your Warlord, you receive 1 additional command point. So you get +1 command point for having Dante as your Warlord, which is pretty cool. He is a Chapter Master, so he's got all the Chapter Master abilities and the Rites of Battle ability, and Epic Hero of the Imperium. Once per battle, if this model is selected to use an Epic Deed stratagem, that stratagem costs 0 command points. Oh, okay, interesting. This is the first time I think I've seen this. I've always wondered why they have different names for the different stratagems. There you go. That's the answer right there. So you can use the Epic Deed stratagem and cost 0 CP once per game, which is pretty cool. I like that, because he's an Epic Hero of the Imperium. Gabriel Seth, he's got Whirlwind of Gore. At the end of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight again. So he gets to fight twice each turn that he is in engagement range. So it's not even at the end of when he charged. It's just if he charges, that was charged, kept fighting, he can just keep tearing through everything there. So he's going to have 5 attacks, which is pretty cool. 6 wounds on him, which is pretty cool. He's got his Blood Reaver there with strength times 2, AP minus 2, 3 damage. Oh man, he could really take out a lot of stuff. So you got Lord of Slaughter aura. While a friendly Flesh Terror core unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, the damage characteristic of the attack is increased by 1. So I would imagine that keeps popping with some of the other stuff. That's pretty cool. Then you have Chapter Master in your command phase. So you got his Chapter Master abilities, and he's also got Rites of Battle. So he's got basically the abilities that a Chapter Master has. The Sanguinary. So let's go over what he's got going on here. So he's got Aura of Fervor. While a friendly Blood Angel's core or Blood Angel's character unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit fights, until the fight is resolved, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of models in that unit. This is not cumulative with the additional attack granted from Shock Assault. So turn in which they charge, not so much, but if you're still stuck in engagement, you get the +1 attack, which is pretty good. Then you have Angelic Visage. Each time a melee attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Then you have Miraculous Savior. At the end of the heroic intervention step of your opponent's charge phase, if this model has not yet been set up on the battlefield, and if any enemy units finished a charge move within engagement range of any friendly Blood Angels units this phase, you can set up this model within engagement range of one of those enemy units. So it basically is the same. It's the same thing that he got with the whatchamacallit, with the index. They gave him that ability, so he can just pop down from out of, from wherever the ether, wherever he's staying, the Sanguinor, death from above, and he could just pop in and just be like, boop, now I'm in engagement range. Sounds good to me. Then he's got Avenging Angel. This model is eligible to declare a charge even if it fell back this turn. This model is eligible to perform heroic interventions within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically. So it basically, he gets the super engage heroic intervention, which is pretty cool. Sanguinor is pretty awesome. I think the Sanguinor can be super effective. Then you got Brother Corbulo. So he's got the Red Grail and Aura. While a friendly Blood Angel's core, Blood Angel's character unit, excluding vehicle unit, is within 6 inches of the model, if the Tactical Doctrine or Devastator Doctrine is active for your army, then each time a model in this unit makes an attack, the Assault Doctrine is considered to be active for that attack instead. That's pretty cool. It's within 6 of the model if the Tactical Doctrine. Each time your model unit makes an attack, the Assault Doctrine is considered active for that attack instead. I mean, that's pretty cool, unless you wanted to shoot with them, because then you want them to be in engagement. I guess you could run them up there. You can run them up there with a bunch of assault stuff you want to get up in there. But there's certain times where I think that could be almost hurtful, because if you want to have Devastator Doctrine on your guys, then that would be, it doesn't say close combat. So then you guys Narthesium, friendly Blood Angel infantry units within 3 inches of this model. Each time a model in the unit would lose a wound on a d6 is 6 plus, feel no pain, which is pretty cool. Like, he's just like any of the apothecaries. Then you've got combat regenerative. At the end of your movement phase, this model can heal one friendly Blood Angel's infantry or Blood Angel's biker unit that is within 3 inches of it. This model regains up to D3 lost wounds. Each model is only healed once per turn. And at the end of the movement phase, this model can use the combat restoratives ability twice instead of once. Oh yeah, because they just made him the Chief Apothecary, which is pretty cool. And he's got the keyword Chief Apothecary, so you can even give him this like the Warlord traits and stuff like that from the main one, I imagine, because he's got the keyword Chief Apothecary, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, pretty cool there with Brother Corbulo. And then you got your Sanguinary Priest, who's basically just your normal Blood Chalice. Select a Blood Chalice in your command phase. Select one friendly Blood Angel's core, Blood Angel's character unit within 6 inches of this model until the start of your next command phase. If the Tactical Doctrine and Devastator Doctrine is active for your army, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, the Assault Doctrine is considered to be active for that attack instead. In your command select one. Oh, so you select the unit for his Blood Chalice, and the Red Grail is while a friendly Blood Angel's core. So Brother Corbulo gives that to everybody within 6 inches, each unit within 6 inches of him. The Sanguinary Priests give it to one unit that you elect. And he's still got the Narthesium, he's still got the combat restoratives, and he's got the Apothecary rules here, so that you can use them. So, and if you're running you can even make this guy into the Chief Apothecary if you want to, because he's got the Apothecary keyword. So if you're not running Brother Corbulo, you can pop him up and make them the Chief Apothecary for your force. And the way they've always talked about it, because they even talked about it like stuff like that Blood Angels and Dark Angels, even though they have characters who are the Chapter Masters, you can use the Chapter Master upgrade for our captain, as long as you don't run them at the same time as them. So I imagine you can't have this Sanguinary Priest become the Chief Apothecary while you have the other Apothecary going there. While you have Brother Corbulo in there. You got Chief Librarian Mephiston. He's got all his usual good stuff. 5-up, feel no pain. Psychic Hood, which is always fun. You can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers, use psychic phase, and attempt to deny 2 psychic powers. Knows Smite and 3 psychic powers from Sanguinary Discipline. And then you've got Librarian Dreadnought, which is always a fun one to have here. So he's got his Furioso Force Halberd, which is always fun. D3 plus 3 damage. Makes 1 additional attack with this weapon, and no more than 1 attack can be made with this weapon. Oh, interesting. Okay. So the Halberd can only make 1 attack with his Force Halberd, which is interesting. He's got his Psychic Hood. He's got Duty Eternal, which is always fun, and he does explode. So he can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers and attempt to deny 1 psychic power, and your opponent knows Smite and 2 psychic powers. So pretty cool. I think these guys are fun. Just finished building one of mine myself, so I think he's going to be fun to be able to use. You got Astartes here. So he's got a spiritual leader, so he gives them Blood Angels. Can use his leadership instead. Redeemer of the Lost. Well, his friendly Blood Angels Death Company unit is within 6 inches of this model. Each time a morale test is taken for that unit, the treat is automatically passed. So auto-passing morale for Death Company units, which is pretty cool. That's like super cool. I think that'd be fun. He's got a 4-up invul save. And then he goes... so he knows all his litanies. Knows a litany of hate, mass of doom, which we'll see below, and 2 other litanies of battle. And you can and two other litanies. In your command phase, this model of the battlefield, you can recite up to 2 litanies if you know that you have not already been recited by a friendly model in the battle. So doing that plus 3+ to go off. So Massive Doom. If this litany is inspiring, select one friendly Blood Angels core or Blood Angels character unit, excluding vehicles units, within 6 inches of this priest model. Roll 1d6 and apply the result below. Merciful Execution. One model in that unit is destroyed. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Okay, 2 through 5, Dark Wrath. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. And Vessel of Sanguineous. Models in that unit have a 4+ invul save, and each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So +1 attack, and if you roll a 6, you get a 4+ invul save, and if you roll a 1, you lose a model, which is, I mean, if you're doing that to a Blood Angels character unit, all right, bye-bye. He's just taken off, because you can't re-roll it. You can't do any of those re-rolls anymore. But he is a Master of Sanctity, so he's going to be your chief chaplain there. Then you've got Lamartes over here. He is going to have his usual stuff. Fury Unbound, whilst a friendly Blood Angels Death Company core or Blood Angels Death Company character units within 6 inches of the model, you can reroll charge rolls for a model in that unit. So rerolling Death Company, which is pretty cool. Light in the Dark, friendly Blood Angels Death Company unit within 6 inches of the model. Models in the unit can use this model's leadership characteristic instead of their own. He's got his 4 of invul save as usual. And then Guardians of the Lost. Each time this model recites a litany, if the litany instructs you to select a friendly unit, that unit must have the Death Company keyword in addition to any other required keywords, or it cannot be selected. Each time this model recites a litany, if the litany is an aura ability, then the units are only affected by that ability if they have the Death Company targeted keyword. So Lamarte's abilities only affect Death Company now, so you can't have him up there and buffing everybody. He's only going to buff the Death Company, which is kind of interesting. If this model knows the litany of hate and 2 other litanies from the Litanies of Battle Codex, in your command phase, you can if this model is on the battlefield, it can recite up to 2 litanies it knows, even if they have already been recited by another friendly model that battle round. A unit cannot be affected by the same ability more than once. However, roll a d6 on a 3+ is recited. So he can do ones that have already been recited by other people, and I think the reason for that is because he can only affect the Death Company. So because they've narrowed down who he can affect, they allow other people to affect everyone else in your army. So if you run him with other chaplains, then he can handle the Death Company and they can handle everyone else, which is, I mean, very fluffy. So that's kind of interesting. You've got 2 types of Captain Tycho. You've got Captain Tycho and Tycho the Lost. So after he fell to the Black Rage here. So he's got his ability, Abhor the Beast. Model makes a melee attack against an orc unit. Add 1 to the strength and damage characteristic of that attack. So interesting there. Then you've got Sanguinary Guard, they're pretty cool. So they've still only got the 2 wounds. And the Power Fist is still knocked down to his usual Power Fist there. Angel of Death. Each time a melee attack is made against this unit, subtract. So they're -1 to hit, which is pretty cool. And then Heirs of Ascalon. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, if that model's unit is within 6 inches of any friendly Blood Angels Warlord unit, Warlord models add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So that's pretty cool. +1 to hit, which is what they had previously, but I still think that with all the other additions that they've gotten now, I think that the Sanguinary Guard are going to be pretty brutal. They're going to be a lot of fun. Then you got the Sanguinary Ancient. He's got his usual stuff there. In your command phase with his chapter banner, select 1 friendly Blood Angels core unit within 6 inches of this model till the start of your next command phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. So +1 to hit for 1 unit within 6 inches of him. Angelic Visage, -1 to hit them. They've got the +1, add 1 to attacks if they're within range of the Blood Angel Warlord. And then you've got the Astartes banner aura. While a friendly Blood Angel's core unit is within 6 inches of his model, add 1 to the leadership characteristic models in that unit. In addition, each time a model in the unit is destroyed by an attack made by an enemy model, roll 1d6 on a 4+. Do not remove the destroyed model. It can after the attacking model's finished making its attack. So you can hit, shoot, or punch as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so he's only given his add 1 to that to +1 to hit to add 1 to the attack's hit rolls to 1 unit within range of it, which is, I don't know, it's interesting. But yeah, and it only does it to core units, but Sanguinary Guard do have the core unit rule there. Then you got your Death Company Dreadnought over here. So he's got all the different stuff. He's got the Black Rage. He doesn't have visions though, so that's, I think, only going to the characters that you upgrade will get the visions ability there, the death visions. Magna Grapple, I think, has changed a bit. So each time an enemy vehicle unit, excluding aircraft, is selected to fall back whilst it is within engagement range of this bearer, you can engage the bearer's Magna Grapples. If you do, roll 2d6. If the result is less than the strength characteristic of the enemy unit, it can fall back normally. Otherwise, it cannot fall back this phase and must remain stationary instead. So you're rolling 2d6, trying to get above their equal to or above their strength, and if you do, they can't fall back, which is really kind of cool. I think that's kind of effective to keep units engaged there and protect him from, because I mean, a lot of the vehicles that you charge into, you're not going to be having them fall back. So you can even do it with I guess it also helps if you charge into like a tank, or into a knight, because then it makes them shoot you instead of being able to fall back, shoot, and then charge back into you. So that's kind of cool. I like that ability with the Magna Grapples there. They've got them there. So pretty cool stuff. Also, let's take a look at the Furios. The Blood Talons, their strength +4, AP -2, 3 damage. Each time an attack is made with his weapon, you can reroll the wound roll. So rerolling wound rolls with a strength 10, AP -2, 3 damage weapon. That's pretty good. And then the Furioso Fist is basically is your basic Dreadnought close combat weapon. So pretty cool. I like that. Then you've got your Death Company Marines, which are your firstborn Death Company here. They are bumped up to 2 wounds, which is pretty cool. And they've got their 2 attacks. Base, they can have their jump packs. They can have their usual build that you can give them all. And they've got the Black Rage, which is pretty cool. So I think they're going to be really good now. Then you got your Death Company Intercessors, which is the same thing that they have been. So they've got their 2 wounds. They've got 3 attacks, which is pretty cool. And you can kit them out as assault too. So you have them with the chainsword. So now on the charge, regular guys if it's the assault doctrine, your Death Company Intercessors are 3 base attacks +1 for the chainsword if you give them as assault intercessors, which I mean you should if that's what you're going to be running your Death Company Intercessors as. I think you got the 3 attacks base, 1 for chainsword, +1 because of the charge, +1 because of Savage Echoes. So now you're looking at 6 attacks per model, which is, man, that's really good. That's really good. I like that one a lot. I think they could be super good with all those attacks there. So pretty good. I like them. Then you get your Furioso Dreadnought. He's got the usual stuff. They got Duty Eternal. Does the Death Company? Yep, Death Company Dreadnought also has Duty Eternal. Furioso Combat Weapons. If this model is equipped with 2 Furioso Fists or 2 Blood Talons, add 1 to its attacks characteristics. So that's pretty cool. It's got base 4, be 5 if it's got 2 close combat weapons. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. And he's got the or you can give him the Magna Grapples if you want to. So yeah, smoke launchers can be replaced with Magna Grapples. Then you've got the Ball Predator here. So he's got the usual Predator stats and everything that he's got. Nothing's changed with that, except he does have, like I said, the overcharged engines there. So each time the model advances, it does not do not make an advance roll. It gets the 6-inch move. So that's pretty cool with them. So you got the usual profiles of everything that they've got going on there. Then the point values. Things haven't really changed that much for anybody there, so they've kind of just stayed the same here. So, and I think that's it. And the references. Oh, the back is pretty cool. They do have references for all the rules, so if you don't want to flip through, you can just turn to this page and you can get it there. So, but yeah, so that's what we've got. So the Blood Angels, man, I think they are pretty effective. I think they're going to be good. I think that they're going to be very angry. I think they're going to be really good in combat. I think they've got a lot of tools now that they can work with it, and a lot of synergies that work well. I think they're going to be brutal. I think that these guys, in particular, they're going to be an excellent troop choice for the Blood Angels going forward. The Assault Intercessors, I think, are going to be good for them. And I think there's just, I think they're going to be brutal. I think they're going to be brutal going forward. I think that a lot of their previous edition abilities that they had, a lot of the stratagems that they had previously, did get nerfed a bit. I think that Pawn Wings of Fire and a lot of that stuff got nerfed, but I think that they've got a lot of new things that they gained in this codex or Codex Supplement, I should say, that I think will allow them to benefit from it a lot. So, overall, I like it. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be interesting to see them. I think I don't think that the strategies that had previously worked with them will be severely affected. I think it's just going to take, like I said, losing the 3d6 charge, losing the ability to pick up a unit and drop them down over there. Those do hurt. I think those do hurt. But they got a lot of different things that will be beneficial for them. There's a lot of re-rolling charges that you can get in there that I think is going to be beneficial. The fact that you can get that banner that gives you +2 move means that you're going to have a lot of ability to control the board, especially with a bunch of jump pack units like Sanguinary Guard or Death Company with jump packs, running around. And then you've got your Assault Intercessors that are going to just jump up over onto things and just be hellish to try to take off. I think it's going to be fun. I think Blood Angels are going to be fun. So, I hope you guys have all enjoyed that. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always. And until next time, stay safe and have fun.